Tourism tries to go green. My guest here at the World Travel Market in London is from a country which is heavily invested in sustainable tourism. Welcome to Ivan Eskildsen, the Minister of Tourism for Panama. Many countries would say that they are trying to reduce their carbon footprint, and particularly in their tourist sector. But Panama is quite unique in that respect.
Panama is one of 3 countries in the world that is carbon negative already. So as the world is striving for becoming a net zero in general, Panama has already reached this amazing status of carbon negative because of the way we have preserved our wildlife. Over 30% of our land and our sea are protected areas. And very much in relation because we've also preserved 7 indigenous peoples that are the guardians of our natural areas, both in land and the sea.
And how are these indigenous peoples incorporated into your plans for the tourism sector?
Well, actually, it's one of our centerpieces of our tourism strategy right now. We are working on a plan to empower indigenous communities, participate of our tourism model, and working closely with them. This is the first time the Authority of Tourism of Panama has worked closely with the indigenous peoples. So we've approached them, we've signed an agreement with the Guna people for the first time in our history. We've presented an indigenous Panama tourism circuit to the 12 traditional authorities of the 7 indigenous peoples in Panama. And they're quite interested in now opening more to the world, especially for those type of discerning travelers that come with respect to honor their culture and to immerse in the pristine nature that surrounds them.
Panama is to become a pilot country for the United Nations Net Zero Tourism Fund. What does that mean? How does that work?
All right, so the United Nations World Tourism Organization is developing an innovative financial instrument, this United Nations Net Zero Tourism Fund, because they are looking at the transformation of the tourism industry, moving towards a decarbonization of the industry, also moving towards the Paris Agreement goals and the Sustainable Development Goals. So following the leadership of the Secretary General of the UNWTO, Zurab Porolikashvili, who is developing this financial instrument together with a group called NOAA, who they are partnering with. They have recognized Panama's leadership as a country that is carbon negative, one of 3 countries in the world, and also preserving 30% of the land and sea. And we are signing this agreement to become the first pilot country to support this UN Net Zero Tourism Fund.
From this collaboration with the United Nations, what will we see in Panama? What physical manifestation will there be?
So part of the agreement is that our Ministry of Environment is also participating in this collaboration. And what they are conducting is they will be preparing a study or an audit of our blue carbon potential. That means the carbon sequestration potential in our mangroves, our coral reefs, and other marine areas. And also it means that the partner NOAA will also be installing the smart carbon marketplace in Panama. So this is what is the implication of Panama becoming the first pilot country to work with this collaboration.
So where would you like to see Panama's tourism industry post-COVID? How would you want to describe it?
Okay, so post-COVID, we have an innovative vision. We have used this time of the great pause of the world to transform our industry, our tourism industry, from the inwards towards the outside. So what we're focusing on is on highlighting the importance of our biocultural heritage. That means both our natural heritage, natural biodiversity, as well as our ethnodiversity. Since we have 7 indigenous peoples, Afro-Panamanian traditions, as well as Spanish heritage, very colorful and lively traditions. So taking this untapped potential, because this has never been developed in Panama yet for tourism. Now we are showing the world, as these discerning travelers are more and more looking for authentic destinations and pristine areas to connect with natures and connect with communities. So with this vision, the way we want to see our tourism destination in the future is to have fulfilled the empowerment of these authentic rural communities and indigenous communities, because right now they are the stewards of all these natural areas that are all throughout Panama, and with tourism income we can help make financially sustainable that they keep maintaining these forests, these mangroves, these coral reefs. Actually, in the Paris Agreement, this is in Article 5. This is called non-carbon benefits, when a community is able to sustainably manage their forest because they receive, let's say, financial stimulation.
But perhaps the pandemic has shown that tourism can be very fragile. So it's important in a way not to depend upon it, but at the same time to try to make it richer. How do you strike that balance?
Well, I think it's always important when we're talking about, in this model that we're implementing, we're focusing on the endogenous development of communities, that is making them as self-sustainable as possible, that certainly if they can diversify their economies with some agriculture or other ways of income. For example, there are some indigenous communities in the Panama Canal area that have the aspiration of developing their own water bottling business, so that will complement their attractiveness for tourism, so they don't, as you mentioned, don't become as dependable on just one source of income. But always the idea is that through tourism, not only do we help preserve their culture, their way of life, that the way it has been for hundreds of years, so the youth don't have to also migrate towards the cities unless they're not obligated to, right? So in that case, and they also increase their pride, because when you have tourists and other people honoring their culture, they feel better, and the youth also are also prouder of their culture and willing to show it to the world.
Ivan Eskildsen, Minister of Tourism for Panama, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.